All right, today we're diving into something we've probably all used at some point, AI symptom checkers. But have you ever stopped to wonder how they actually think? Are we talking about a supercomputer just crunching numbers, or is it more like having a seasoned doctor in your pocket? Let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. You wake up feeling off. You've got this weird ache, maybe a cough that just won't quit. What's your first move? I bet for a lot of you, it's grabbing your phone and typing your symptoms into a search bar. We all do it, right? It's basically a modern reflex to consult Dr. Google. But here's the catch. We all kind of know Dr. Google isn't a real doctor, and the data backs that up. Studies have shown that a lot of these online checkers, well, they're often just wrong. We're talking about getting the right advice only about half the time, and that can lead you down a rabbit hole of anxiety, or worse, give you a false sense of security when you really should be seeing someone. So, what we're going to do today is look at the next generation of these tools, advanced AI symptom checkers. We're going to look at two very different philosophies. First up, we've got Maya MD, which is all about the data. Then we'll look at Dr. Maya, which takes a totally different patient-first approach. We'll compare how they see the future of AI in health and wrap up by asking a really big question: who do you trust? So yeah, the whole idea behind these new AI tools is to be a smarter first step. Instead of you just randomly Googling things, these systems are built to have a conversation with you, ask smart questions, and actually point you in the right direction. It's about getting a digital first opinion you can actually rely on. All right, let's kick things off with our first example, Maya MD. And to really get what it's about, just think of it as the data detective. This thing is built from the ground up on one core idea: the power of massive amounts of data and really sophisticated algorithms. So what does it do? Well, at its heart, Maya MD is a triage tool. It's designed to do one thing and do it really, really well. Figure out where you need to go. You give it your info and it tells you, hey, you should go to the ER, or this looks like something for your primary care doctor, or maybe even just you can handle this at home. So, how does it think? This is where it gets interesting. Maya MD's brain is all about statistics and machine learning. It's been trained on, get this, over 7,000 diagnoses and 40,000 inferences. So it's not just following some simple flowchart. It's actively looking for these super subtle connections between symptoms, things a human might not even spot. It's all about finding those hidden patterns in the data to figure out what's most likely going on. For you, the user, it feels like a really focused chat. You tell it what's wrong, and the AI starts asking these follow-up questions. But these aren't random questions. They're generated on the fly, based on what you just said. It's trying to narrow down the possibilities, kind of like a real doctor would, to give you a solid recommendation. Okay, but does it work? How accurate is this data detective? Well, a study put it to the test, comparing its recommendations against what actual practicing doctors decided. And the results? The AI performed right on par with the humans. As you can see, sometimes it agrees perfectly, other times there's a difference. It shows this data-first approach can be incredibly accurate, but also highlights the complexities of diagnoses. Okay, so that's the data-driven approach. Now let's switch gears completely and look at our second example. If Maya MD is the data detective, then I want you to think of Dr. Maya as the clinician's compass. And this is a tool that wasn't born from a massive dataset, but from a real-world problem in a doctor's office. And its origin story is really the key to understanding it. The creator, Dr. Katyali Srivatsa, wasn't some tech guy trying to build a robot doctor. He was a general practitioner who saw his receptionist struggling every day trying to figure out which patients were serious and which weren't. He just needed a simple, reliable tool to bridge that gap between someone feeling sick and knowing what to do next. So his solution wasn't about adding more data. It was about creating more clarity. Forget complex algorithms. Dr. Srivatsa took his 40 years of experience as a doctor and boiled it down into a super simple 4-color system. You've got red for serious stuff, go see a doctor now. Yellow for common things, maybe talk to a pharmacist. Green is for mild symptoms, where a nurse or even just self-care is fine. And then there's blue for potential infections, telling you to isolate and get a remote consultation. The whole point is that it's simple enough for anyone to understand instantly. And right there, you can see a totally different philosophy at play. Dr. Maya isn't trying to spit out a diagnosis. The goal is to reduce that feeling of panic and uncertainty we all get when we're sick. By giving you this simple framework, it hands the control back to you. It empowers you to understand the severity of what's going on so you can make a good decision. And this leads us to the core critique of that purely data-driven approach. It's something called the intelligence trap. The argument is that when an AI only looks at data points, it can miss the bigger picture, right? It misses the human context, your personal story, how you're feeling emotionally, how all these symptoms are combining in your body. The system just dictates, and you become a passive player, just feeding it information. So, what we have here are two really powerful but totally different visions for AI and health. On one hand, you've got the raw analytical power of big data. On the other, you have the distilled wisdom of decades of human experience. Let's really break down the differences. Looking at their core philosophy, the difference is just black and white. Maya MD is all about big data and algorithms. It learns from millions of old case files. Dr. Maya, though, is built on clinical experience and heuristics. Those patterns and mental shortcuts that a good doctor develops over a 40-year career. One's goal is to give you an accurate decision. The other's goal is to empower you to understand. And that philosophical difference completely changes how you use them. With Maya MD, you're basically in an interview with an algorithm. You provide the data, it crunches the numbers, and it gives you a specific command, like, go to the ER. But with Dr. Maya, your role is different. You're more like an interpreter. You use its color-coded guide to make sense of your own situation. The output isn't an order. It's a framework that helps you decide what to do next. Which brings us right to the big question, doesn't it? We've got these two completely different paths to getting a health answer. Both have their strengths, so which one is the future? So let's just recap. You've got the data detective, that's Maya MD, using sheer computational power to find patterns in data that no human could ever hope to see. And then you have the clinician's compass, Dr. Maya, which gives you a simple map drawn from years of human experience to help you navigate your own health. Look, this isn't really about just two apps. This is a sneak peek at a huge choice we're all going to be facing more and more. When we're at our most vulnerable, sick, maybe a little scared, what do we want AI to be? Do we want it to be an all-knowing oracle that just gives us the answer, or do we want it to be a guide that helps us figure out the answer for ourselves? And in the end, it really boils down to this. When you're facing that unknown, that weird new symptom, what do you value more? Is it the raw power of big data that can see patterns across a million people? Or is it the wisdom of human experience, boiled down to empower your own judgment? There's definitely no easy answer here, but it's a question we're all going to have to think about.